In the midst of a bloody and fierce battle, the Sunwoo clan's patriarch stands covered in blood after a fierce attack. His face is covered in blood and tears. He hears the sarcasm of his opponent, who taunts him for using techniques from other clans, such as Ching Ching and Dakong, even though he is the patriarch of the Sunwoo clan. The enemy asks if patriarch has forgotten his own clan's famous style, the 13 swords of Sunwoo. Dodong, a demon from the blood demon sect, appears, sitting coldly in the middle of the battlefield. Standing next to him is Sunwoo, the 4th son of the Sunwoo clan, who hints at betrayal of his own clan. Dodong asks Sunwoo if the secret martial art was taught only to patriarch. Sunwoo believes that the patriarch has forgotten it now. Dodong angrily calls patriarch a disgusting bastard who brutally killed his own relatives. Then Dodong's eyes fall on a little girl. He threatens Sunwoo Jin, who is now the last patriarch of the Sunwoo clan, that he will kill that girl with the same cruelty. The girl's name is Sunwoo Yunha, who stands firmly holding a sword. Sunwoo Jin looks at the scene in front of him in despair. The spirits of his dead clan members are seen floating behind him. With a broken heart, Sunwoo Jin apologizes to the person he used to call commander. He admits that he could never be like his commander. He remembers the commander's words, "Stand up straight. Don't blame yourself for the consequences. The real defeat is not in losing, but in accepting defeat." Inspired by these words, Sunwoo Jin gathers his courage and decides to fight till his last breath. He realizes that if he is caught alive, he will become just a puppet in Dodong's hands, and perhaps one day his commander might suffer the same fate. Sunwoo Jin is determined to never let that happen. In a moment of extreme desperation, he decides that if death is certain, he will die on his own terms. He picks up a dagger to take his own life. Dodong watches the scene in shock and mutters, "What are you doing?" Sunwoo Jin declares, "Even if you kill me, you will never be able to use my body. I swear, I will kill you even if it means becoming a spirit." Dodong screams in the car. Sunwoo Jin then takes his own life. In his last moments, he regrets his life. "I wish he had lived more fully. I wish he had not wasted his life like this." He regrets that he lost the chance to develop his talent freely by running away from facing his brothers. As his consciousness fades, he suddenly hears a mysterious voice calling him a bastard. In the blink of an eye, Sunwoo Jin finds himself in front of a giant man who is screaming angrily in his face. The man repeats the same words, "Bastard, you have something to say in your defense." Shocked and confused, Sunwoo Jin thinks that maybe he is dreaming. But when he sees the man in front of him, he is stunned. He is none other than his father, the true patriarch of the Sunwoo clan, whom he has not seen for the last 10 years. Sunwoo Jin suddenly finds himself in his younger body. Confused, he listens to his father, who tells him, "Your silence is proof that you are admitting to the murder of the 3rd young master of the Dan clan, the one who was going to be your brother-in-law." Sunwoo Jin is stunned. He wonders how he killed a man named Dan Masang, the same person who was his only friend. Even though the incident happened 10 years ago, Sunwoo Jin tries to clear his name. He remembers that he was drunk that night and had neither the strength nor the reason to commit the crime. But then he realizes a horrifying truth. He has gone back in time, to the same day when he was falsely accused of killing his friend. With his hands tied, he replies, "I don't remember anything." His answer enrages his father. He shouts in his face and calls him a fool. Asks, "Is that all you have to say?" The father desperately wonders how he will face the Dan clan patriarch after this crime. His 3 brothers, Sunwoo Sung, Sunwoo Hak, and Sunwoo Gui, stand there smiling with satisfaction. The father threatens Jin that he will kill him and send his body to the Dan clan to convince them to appease him. But the brothers make an even more ruthless suggestion that Jin be sent away alive but paralyzed, so that the Dan clan can take their revenge and vent their anger. The 4th brother, Sunwoo, makes an even more cruel suggestion. Jin is sent away to the demonic world. He reminds Jin that the Alliance had asked for someone from the clan's direct bloodline. He says Jin is destined to die anyway. At least it would be of some use if he is sent there. The brothers immediately agree to this proposal, as it meant none of them would have to go there. It is explained that the demonic front is actually a border area set up against the blood demon sect. The sect had captured the province of Yunnan 10 years ago, after which the war of blood and righteousness broke out between the Murim Alliance and the sect. Though the Alliance somehow managed to stop their invasion, it failed to recapture Yunnan. As a result, the demonic front was created and warriors started being recruited there to protect the border. Jin himself realizes that over time this front has become a place where the clan sends its unwanted heirs in the name of exile. Under normal circumstances, he would not have been sent there as he was always considered too weak. But this man-made incident has given his brothers the perfect excuse to get rid of him. Jin realizes that this is the best possible scenario for his brothers, and one of them must have conspired to frame him. He remembers that in his past life too, his father had decided to send him to the front. It was just when he was 21 years old, and two men had come to meet him that night. His train of thought is broken when Sunwoo Yoonha comes to meet him. She worriedly asks how he is. Jin replies that he is fine, and then asks about her. She says he is fine, and assures her that she is sure he is not guilty. Jin remembers that in his past life, he had just cried and thanked her for her words. But this time, with his new awareness, he asks her why she is so sure about his innocence. This question shocks Yoona. Jin explains that his fiancée Dan Hasang was his only friend. He had no reason to kill her. He says, "I was drinking with her face to face. Then suddenly I saw the sword, which was not in my hand, but was stuck in her back." Hearing this, Yoonha is shocked and asks why he did not tell this detail to his father. Jin gives a shocking reply, "Because I thought going to the front was the best option." He then explains his painful past to Yoonha. After his mother's early death, he had to live on his own without any support from the family. Even though people considered him a genius due to his amazing memory, he had to pretend to be a fool to survive. Slowly, his real personality got worn out in this drama, so much so that he literally became a fool in everyone's eyes, a disgrace to the clan who could only laugh like an idiot when made fun of. He tells that he lived like this for 21 years, and for a change, he has to leave the clan and go to the front. There, he hopes to meet his idol, the wind dragon Solbong. As Eunha leaves, Jin notices that something is different this time. Last time, she just consoled him. He wonders if her different reaction this time is because she didn't cry in front of him. Lost in thought, Jin is shocked to see his father outside his cell. He realizes that the change is not just limited to his behavior. His father's presence here now is also different from his previous memories. He wonders in worry if his changed reaction has started to change the entire course of events. Jin remembers that in his previous life, when he pleaded with his father to let him run away, he just sighed and quietly walked away. But in this new reality, his father surprises him with a direct question. Was the accusation on you really a conspiracy? Jin is stunned. He wonders if his father had overheard his and Eunha's conversation, and if he has started believing him this time. The father admits that he always knew that Jin was pretending to be a fool, but they were not aware of his desire to leave the clan. They regret why they did not understand this sooner. The father apologizes to Jin. He calls himself a useless father, who ruined his son's life. Jin is shocked by this change. He always knew his father as a passive person, who never came forward to protect him from his brothers or their mothers. But now he starts finding a justification for his past attitude. Jin realizes that the influence of his brother's mother's families is very strong, so deep that even his father had to bow down to him. Perhaps this distance was a kind of mercy for him, especially because he never got any support from his mother. The father asks his son if he has any wishes. Jin takes advantage of this opportunity and asks permission to spend a day in the clan's archives. The father is surprised by his simple request. Jin explains that he is ashamed of his own clan's ignorance of martial arts and wants to learn at least something before going to the front, but his real intention was much deeper. Despite being a patria in his previous life, he did not know any of the Sunwoo arts and had to steal techniques from others. Now he believed that if he learned the 13 swords of Sunwoo, he could build his strength much faster in this new life. The father doubts whether one can become a martial arts master by just reading one book a day. Jin replies that it is better than nothing. Finally, the father agrees, but he puts a shocking condition. He says that it is dangerous to train the internal arts alone, so he will teach him himself. He immediately orders Jin to sit in the Lord's position. Jin, shocked and confused, obeys his father. The father begins to transfer his energy to his son and announces that he will give him the primal infinity art. He also begins to chant verses so that Jin can memorize them. Jin realizes that his father is teaching him the same secret art that is given only to Patriarch and his successor. Even though he should be happy, he feels a strange and uneasy feeling while receiving this knowledge. He wonders what this feeling is. On the other hand, Jin's brothers protest the decision to allow him into the archives and demand that the father take it back. The father says that Jin's needless death on the front will disgrace the clan's name. The eldest brother tries to protest, but his father sternly shuts him up and says his decision is final. Jin laughs quietly. On the outside, it looks like he doesn't care, but inside, he thinks with a mischievous smile. One day is enough for me. Jin sets his goal as soon as he enters the clan archives. He doesn't want to master martial arts, but to memorize everything in the entire archive. He explains why he was called a genius in his previous life because he had a photographic memory. This ability allowed him to copy the moves of his comrades on the battlefield. His commander named this talent as identical memory. This is why Jin was so confident that he could absorb everything in this library. He vows to put this knowledge to good use. He reviews the primal infinity art he learned from his father, and then focuses on the 13 swords on Sunwoo. After hours of intense study, he collapses on the floor, completely exhausted, almost dying. He memorized all the information but realized that it was not possible to understand a technique as complex as the 13 swords of Sunwoo just by reading. He goes out to get some fresh air, but collapses on the grass, completely exhausted and on the verge of giving up. At that moment, his brothers come there with their friends and make fun of him. A pig's habits never change. It rolls wherever it wants. A young girl among them asks, "Who is this?" The eldest brother replies, "This is our shameful third brother who is closer to a pig than a human." Then he explains that father gave him 1 day for training before sending him to the front, but he is wasting even that in sleeping. Jin gets angry hearing that his brother is making fun of him in front of girls. The others start convincing the young girl, Joy, that Jin is not worthy. Then Jin immediately recognizes the young girl. She is a sword genius associated with the Heavenly Grace Sword Summit. He remembers that she was visiting martial families for training and concludes that this is why she is here. Meanwhile, his fourth brother Sungui comes forward with a sarcastic smile and asks, "What did you learn in the archives of Patriarch?" Then challenges Jin to show his progress. Jin, in his usual foolish style, says, "Nothing can change in a day, leave me alone." But Guy ignores him and throws a powerful punch at him. Jin instinctively raises his hand to block. Guy is surprised that Jin is able to do that. The attack is blocked. However, Jin feels a sharp pain in his hand after blocking it once and realizes that it is now very important to strengthen his weak body. The other brothers laugh and mock Gui that a pig blocked his punch. Now Gui will bring disgrace to the clan. Guy becomes angry at the insult and attacks Jin with a fierce attack. Jin, while blocking the attack, suddenly realizes that the techniques Gui is using seem very familiar to him, even if he has never seen them before. Then he realizes that these techniques are the martial arts of the Sunwoo clan. Someone uses the triple cyclone strike. Jin suddenly speaks while blocking it. Amazing. Amazing then immediately acts stupid and laughingly says that it was a slip of the tongue and asks his brother to throw more attacks. The other brothers laugh and tease Gui that Jin is enjoying his attacks. Guy's anger and insult grows and he shouts, "I will kill you," and continues to attack. But Jin is secretly happy because he understood the parts that he didn't understand from just reading. Finally, Guy uses the defense-shattering technique, a technique that combines punches and kicks to strike the enemy's weak points. But Jin notices that Guy was not able to perform it properly and left himself vulnerable. Jin takes advantage of the opportunity and counterattacks. The blow is so deep that Gui writhes in pain. After the fight, Jin, exhausted, falls to the ground due to his heavy body. Sun Wang taunts that the pig was lucky to escape and joins the others to attack him. But before they can do anything, Seol intervenes and stops them. She sternly says that it's shameful that they want to attack their injured brother, who can barely stand. The brothers step back in embarrassment and start explaining that they were just checking his condition. Jin thinks to himself that he too had once let such foolish people dominate him for years. Everyone leaves from there, and as soon as they leave, Jin again falls on the ground due to exhaustion. He realizes that getting rid of this extra weight is his first priority now. Suddenly, his father appears there. He says that Jin has worked hard, and he feels proud of him. Jin becomes speechless after hearing these words. Then the father reveals a personal secret of his. Out of his 4 marriages, only 1 was of his own choice. The rest he did for the clan, considering it his duty. But now he himself doubts whether this was really true. After this, he tells Jin that he will practice a little with the sword because he has not practiced for a long time. Also, he advises Jin to go and rest. The father starts showing his sword moves and Jin immediately recognizes them. These are Sunwoo's Theron swords. He realizes that his father is demonstrating them to him personally, gradually increasing the speed so that he can understand the technique in practice. Jin is filled with deep gratitude. He realizes that his father is doing all this for him. The scene then returns to the archives. Jin reads his ancestors' diaries. They are full of precious thoughts and perspectives. But as expected, he does not understand even the basic movements just by reading them. Then he picks up a journal and notices that its cover is unusually thick. He carefully opens the edge and finds an old manuscript hidden inside. It contains a fighting technique called the 14th form. When he flips it back, he also finds the 15th form. Jin is stunned. The clan's technique, which until now was only called the Theron swords, actually has additional forms hidden. Meanwhile, at the clan headquarters, Sunwoo Yuha is sitting in front of the mirror in her room. She remembers Seol's beauty and grabs a lock of her hair, wishing it would be just a little longer. Then she hears her maids laughing. They whisper that fourth young Master Gui was beaten and injured by third brother Jin. One maid sarcastically adds that Guy tried to show off in front of Lady Joy, but fainted. The two maids burst out laughing, not knowing that Yunha is listening. Yunha's face immediately turns cold and sinister. She sharply asks, "What exactly did you say? Was Jin really the one who hurt Gui?" The maids admit the truth tremblingly. Yuna boils up inside. She has never tried to do this, how dare you? Meanwhile, Soel gives a document to her friend Chongyan. She tells her that she has bought this information from a local broker. Chongyan thanks her, but Soel says that there is no need to thank friends. She jokingly asks why Chongyan is so interested in that fat young man. She laughs and says that his eyes are barely visible under the fat. Chongyan calmly replies that the person she saw knocking down her brother in a fight had an impressive gait, and this is what aroused her curiosity to know about his past. Soel doubts that it was just luck, but she believes that Chongyan has always had a keen eye for talent. Then she changes the topic and complains that Chongyan covers her eyes with her bangs and hides her beauty. Chongyan laughingly asks if Soel will be happy if she does this. Soel smiles and says no, then I will be jealous. Both of them laugh and express pride in their friendship. The next morning, Jin is ready to leave. His father and Yuna come to see him off. His father advises him to do well for the clan's glory and to stay safe. Jin bows and promises to bring pride and honor to the clan. Yuna gives him rice balls. She says she made them herself. Jin emotionally thanks him and says they must be the best. Jin sets off on his horse with his Scots. After a short distance, he tells the group leader Jang Gang that he has decided to run from here to Yunha so that he can lose weight. Gang is surprised at first and says that doing so will delay the journey and cause losses. Jin offers to take the horse from him, but Gang honestly says that this deal is much more valuable than his wages. Jin smiles at his honesty and offers a mutually beneficial deal in return. He will give the horse, and in return they will help him with some matters along the way. The gang realizes that the third young master is not what the rumors say. He shakes hands and accepts the deal and promises to help Jin with all his might. Thus begins Jin's journey. He wants to run the distance that even a horse can only cover by running for 3 days straight. At first, his body does not support him. He falls down exhausted, vomits, but he gets up and starts running again. Suddenly, a hand hands him a handkerchief. He opens his eyes and sees that it is Changyan. She encourages him with a smile and says that she will now be one of his supporters. Jin feels proud inside after she leaves and gets up with new energy. After a while, the escorts light a fire and prepare food. When Jin is asked why he is not eating the food cooked by his sister, he shyly says that it was not tasty. The escorts laugh and joke that whoever marries him will be ruined. Everyone laughs and jokes, but deep inside Jin thinks that maybe he is not meant to live a peaceful life with his family. Jin contemplates Eunha's behavior, how her actions were completely different from his memories. He remembers that in the past he considered her his only family and cherished the concern in her eyes. But now he also remembers those eyes, filled with hatred and contempt that he had sometimes seen but always ignored. Now the harsh truth is revealed. Eunha hasn't changed. He was merely fooling himself in the past and couldn't recognize her true nature. Jin concludes that Eunha never truly cared for him. He even begins to suspect that he might have killed Dan Hai-sang. The thought weighs heavy on Jin, because at the very moment when he understood his father's feelings and found someone on his side for the first time, he lost the person he trusted the most. But Jin suppresses this pain and rises with renewed resolve. Interrupting the Scots' light-hearted conversation, he demands the Dawasod, and from that moment on, his journey becomes a constant training session. He runs while walking and practices whenever he stops. His convoy has become like a mobile training camp. He spends every moment of rest practicing his sword and spear, even sacrificing sleep to hone his energy cultivation techniques. As they draw closer to the demonic front, Jin realizes that the place is truly a death trap, and he must exert every strength of his body and soul to survive. Leader Young, his obsession. He's astonished by the effort. He says he's never seen anyone train so obsessively in his life. He admits that he initially wasn't sure Jin would last long, but now he's ashamed of his preconceptions. Jin smiles slightly and replies calmly, "I'm only fighting because I don't want to die." Suddenly, before Jin is about to say something, an arrow pierces the air and lands in the ground near him. Jin ducks in shock. The escorts immediately draw their swords. All eyes are on the attacker who set up the ambush. Moments later, a group of bandits appears. Their leader taunts, "Speak of honor later, prepare to die first." The bandits surround them and order them to surrender. Their leader, a giant man holding a double-headed axe, charges forward and threatens to crush everyone's skulls. Zhang becomes worried upon recognizing the leader. He whispers into Jin's ear, "If there's a fight, you better get on your horse. We won't last long." This man is no ordinary bandit, but a true martial artist. Trained in real combat techniques, Zhang attempts to resolve the matter through negotiations. He greets Gosum respectfully and says they will pay a ransom to avoid bloodshed. Ma Gosum agrees with a sarcastic laugh. He says the ransom means everything they own. He then orders everyone to strip and run naked. The bandits laugh loudly. Now Yang turns serious and says, "Young master, don't delay, quickly mount your horse." But Jin steps forward and announces in a loud voice, "I am the third son of the Manhwa clan. Do you want to be destroyed?" Gosum mocks him. Jin shouts angrily, "So do you dare attack me?" Gosum becomes apprehensive. Jin insists that he is indeed from the Manhwa clan and removes the clan emblem from his waistband as proof. Gosum says, "Throw it to me. I will test it myself." He orders Jin to come closer, warning him that if he doesn't, his death is certain. Jin complies, slowly approaching and tossing the emblem into the air. Gosum catches it, engrossed in examining the engraving, when Jin lunges forward with lightning speed and plunges a knife straight into his body. Gosum screams in pain, sending his men into a panic. They shout, "Our leader has been attacked." Jin immediately snatches 2 swords from a bandana and charges at them. His unexpected agility and deadly skill decimates several enemies in an instant. This sudden and deadly blow leaves them stunned. Leader Zhang shouts, "Help the young master." Now the situation is completely reversed. The pendants start screaming and running in panic. Some call him the Mad Butcher. Amidst the battle, Jin feels alive, body and soul. A calm smile appears on his face, as if his soul has returned to the familiar atmosphere of battle after a long time. The battle ends shortly. Jin and his Scots stand victorious among the corpses of the bandaged, but as the adrenaline wears off, Jin collapses to the ground and jokingly says, "Perhaps I'll die of exhaustion." The escorts look at him with surprise and admiration. Jung asks in a serious tone, "Are you some immortal old man reincarnated in a young body?" Jin laughs and flatly denies it. "If I were so strong, I wouldn't have collapsed from exhaustion after such a short battle." Jung agrees, but adds that no ordinary young man could have fought so skillfully and killed so effortlessly. He even asks if he really saw the sword aura emanating from his sword. Jin casually dismisses the question. "My internal energy is equivalent to 20 years of training. What you saw was merely an afterimage of the 13 swords of the Manhwa demonic sword art." Jung praises the art and sheepishly admits that at 40, he has only amassed 20 years of internal energy. Jin asks what cultivation method he practices. Jung bashfully replies, "The 6 harmonies technique is the only method I've been able to find." Jin realizes it's a third-rate technique that's easily obtained, but he admires Jung for achieving such a level even with such a weak technique. Jin sympathizes with Jung because it reminds him of his own past, when he too had to practice by borrowing techniques from others. The journey continues. Running and training non-stop, they finally reach Yunnan province. To celebrate their last night after a grueling 9-day journey, Jin treats the escorts to drinks at his own expense. Overjoyed by their young master's generosity, the escorts clink glasses and discuss their future plans after the mission. During the celebration, one escort expresses his desire to retire, leaving the battle life behind for his wife and children. Yang jokes, "Wandering warriors should never settle down." But their conversation is abruptly interrupted by an unexpected arrival. One escort recognizes the new visitor. It's the same young woman they met earlier. Changyan Jin is startled to see her and approaches her enthusiastically. Surprised, he greets her and invites her to join him at their table. But before he can finish his sentence, Changyan is already seated. This brings a slight, shy smile to Jin's face. Leader Jung greets her warmly and offers to order food, but she says she'll order later. Then, to everyone's surprise, she announces that she intends to volunteer at the front. Jin and his escorts are shocked. They disagree and ask why she wants to go to such a dangerous place, where even experienced warriors avoid going, especially a woman, and that too alone. When one of the escorts asks her why, she remains silent. Suddenly, Changyan changes the subject. She turns to Jin and notices that he's lost a lot of weight. Jin laughs and explains that it's all due to training and practice. His escorts also confirm that he's become very lean. Leader Jung commends his tremendous hard work and adds that he even defeated bandits along the way with great skill. One escort jokes that Jin has become even more attractive since losing weight. After a while, Changyan excuses herself to go outside. Meanwhile, the escorts encourage Jin to have his first drink, and he happily agrees. Once outside, Changyan takes a deep breath and thinks Jin is truly adorable. Her inner thoughts reveal that his face bears a striking resemblance to her beloved Dolmadu. She recalls his smooth combat moves and glimpses of his past, and admits that these are what have piqued her curiosity. She remembers his extraordinary stamina and his former chubby appearance, and is determined not to let him die before the demon of the blood sect. Eventually, she comes to a strange conclusion. She was the first to recognize his hidden cuteness. Therefore, as a pilot, it is her duty to protect him. This was her true reason for volunteering at the front. However, the next day, Changyan decides that Jin no longer needs her protection and doesn't want to worry her family, so she decides to return. But just as she's about to leave, a terrifying cry for help is heard nearby. She immediately runs in that direction. While searching for the source of the sound, a giant man suddenly attacks her. He has a muscular body and long white hair. Changyan barely dodges the blow and notices that the attacker is focused solely on attack, not defense. She prepares for a decisive battle and unleashes a barrage of sharp sword strikes, but she's stunned to find that her attack has no effect on him. The next moment, the attacker appears before her, strikes her hard, and knocks her to the ground. Changyan is stunned by his strength. The attacker stands over her with a frantic expression. At first, she thinks he's just a strong man, but when he attacks repeatedly and her swords are ineffective, she begins to despair. In the midst of the fight, one of Jin's escorts arrives to her aid. He steps forward and attacks the attacker, but Changyan tries to stop him. It's too late. The attacker blocks the sword with his bare body, and Escott is stunned when his sword breaks upon hitting his enemy's rigid body. The next moment, Escott mercilessly kills Escott. In a daze, Changyan tries to attack from behind, but the attacker seizes her sword with his bare hands. In that moment, she realizes she's fighting not a human, but a monster. Just as her hopes are dashed, another man jumps in just in time. His attack hits the attacker, knocking him back. Hearing the noise, Jin and the rest of his escorts arrive. Leader Jung Changyan asks worriedly, "Are you okay?" She sighs softly and replies, "Yes," but the escorts look sadly at Yang's corpse. Jin tries to pull Jung inside, but Jung refuses. He explains that this monster killed Yang. Jin insists that they can't face it outside. They must stay inside In-an, as it will pursue them no matter what. Suddenly, the attacker lets out a resounding roar and runs toward them. At that moment, Jung-yan suddenly stands in front of Jin, determined to protect him at all costs. Jin immediately orders everyone to go inside the inn, as he has discovered the true identity of this dangerous attacker. Amidst the chaos, the attacker strikes Jung-yan's sword and throws it away, but Jin catches it at the last moment. The attacker screams hysterically, placing his finger to his lips, signaling for silence. Meanwhile, Jin notices that the attacker's eyes were closed the entire time. He comes to a shocking conclusion. This monster is blind. At that very moment, Jan's voice is heard from inside the inn. But Jin realizes that the real danger now lies within. His worst nightmare comes true. The attacker storms into the inn like a storm and attacks everyone mercilessly. The place is filled with screams and blood. Jung attacks him but fails to hold on. Then Jin arrives and attacks the attacker with great force, throwing him away from Jung. Jin orders everyone to remain calm and retreat, but the terrified guests continue to scream and call for help. Jin realizes that this noise is making the attacker even more furious. He roars, declaring that no one will get out alive. The attacker is about to attack again, so Jin warns everyone. To control the situation, Jin himself begins shouting and running. He bangs a nearby table hard enough to make the sound resonate and attract the attacker's attention. The plan works. The attacker turns toward him and orders everyone to remain silent. Seizing the moment, Jin throws a chair in the other direction, creating more noise. The attacker turns toward him. Jung, understanding Jin's plan, helps a distraught Ascot to quiet down. Just then, Jung-yan intervenes. She leaps into the air and launches a sudden, powerful attack at the attacker, but the attacker easily blocks her attack and pushes her away. Jungyan regains her composure and runs toward him, furiously confronting him. She yells at Jin to tell everyone to remain completely silent. Jin explains that this creature recognizes its enemies only by sound and warns them not to make any noise, not even a whisper or a breath. Everyone covers their mouths in fear, but Jin realizes that mere silence won't be enough. If the attacker can't hear anything, he'll use his keen sense of smell. Jin concludes that he must finish him off right there. He devises a plan. He throws coins in different directions throughout the inn, creating noise. He thinks the surrounding noise will confuse the attacker and prevent him from targeting any single target. The plan succeeds. The attacker begins attacking wildly in every direction, breaking things. Taking advantage of the chaos, Jin slowly and cautiously approaches him, knowing that the slightest mistake could cost him his life. But then, a frightened guest suddenly hiccups. The attacker stops in an instant and turns his head directly in the direction of the sound. He gives Jin a menacing look, and this is where today's episode ends. So, see you next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This story is gradually becoming more and more interesting. To stay connected, please like, share, subscribe, and hype the video so I can continue bringing you such entertaining series. My second series is also very interesting. You can watch it by clicking here. I'll see you again soon. Until then, bye-bye. See you soon.